Kamaru Usman's best friend in the world. It's Colby Covington. What are we doing with Donald Trump's number one fan?
Colby, love him or hate him, you got to give respect to him. There's no doubt that Colby Covington's an A-rated fighter.
Okay.
Period.
What up, Fightful fam? Shatil Majui here with someone very poised, very busy ahead of UFC 258. Coach Greg Jones, of course, working with Gilbert Burns, the big welterweight title fight against Kamaru Usman. Greg, thanks for doing this with me today, man.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks for reaching out, and happy to spend a few minutes with you, man.
All right, so before we get rolling into the tier list, sometimes I do these myself, but I feel like there are obviously people more qualified to do them. You have obviously experience working with Gilbert Burns, but also with Kamaru Usman. For those who may not be aware, can you tell me a little bit about sort of your resume coaching when it comes to those two guys?
Well, I've been with Henry now, man, almost 6 years. Goes fast, huh?
Yeah.
Gilbert was probably not too far off of his BJJ world title. Just now starting to make a name for himself in the kind of lower level MMA ranks. Kamaru was in a very similar position coming off his wrestling career. So what were we talking about? Mid 2015, I think.
Okay.
That's probably when we started working.
Yeah, so that's a perfect time you say that, because Kamaru Usman's first official UFC fight, the Ultimate Fighter finale, was in 2015. And with that, let's switch over to the tier list. We've got it up for everyone to see now. Kamaru Usman's foes. So this is all of Kamaru Usman's UFC opponents, dating from, I guess, 2020 to 2015. And we're going to rank them on a tier, A, B, C, D, S being at the very top. I don't know what it stands for. Neither does Coach Jones. But
superb. We'll go with it.
All right, so let's start with a guy who even I wouldn't recognize, based just off the face. But the first guy we have here, Baldy, it kind of looks like, almost looks like Martin Kampman. It's Alexander Yakovlev. This was Kamaru Usman's third professional fight, unanimous decision win for him. Is there anything?
What was that fight at?
Sorry?
What city? What city was that fight in?
Let me see, Chicago, Illinois. It was Holly Holm versus Valentina Shevchenko.
Okay, and the result?
Unanimous decision win for Usman. Don't have the number.
Yeah, man, you're going back a little ways. You're challenging me here a little bit.
Just off the top. It'll get easier.
Yeah, no, it's good. Well, I'm not familiar with this gentleman. I vaguely remember him as an opponent, which kind of means he probably didn't make much noise outside of this fight with Kamaru also. So I'm going to put him, you can go ahead and freeze him right there. Boom. I'm going to go ahead and just off the top of the head, put him at D.
It happens. Speaking of Henry Hooft, we were going to do that. We did one of these for Alistair Overeem with his teammate Drew Dober. Man, I had to limit it to UFC fighters because that guy's got dozens of fights.
Oh, yeah, he'd be all over the place.
Okay.
All series.
All series, too. Okay, this guy I have a hunch you're a little more familiar with. Kamaru Usman's best friend in the world. It's Colby Covington. What are we doing with Donald Trump's number one fan?
Colby, love him or hate him, you got to give respect to him. There's no doubt that Colby Covington's an A-rated fighter.
Okay.
Period.
I guess we'll see as we go through here, because sometimes these are relative. What is it going to take for you to assign someone an S rating?
Well, can we skip order? I'll address that.
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's go and skip order. You got to go with Tyron Woodley. He's going to be an S fighter. I don't care what his last 3 or 4 outings suggest. He's a champion. In my mind, he's always going to be a champion. There's very few of them out there. So, like I said, regardless of the last few fights and where his career goes, I'm going to keep a guy like him there. It is.
Okay, I like it. And now we have a little bit of a range to go off of. You can sort of start filling in the pieces now that you know what an S might qualify as, what a D might qualify as for you, Jones, obviously.
Sure. And, and Kamaru was the one that kind of, I don't know, metaphor, but kind of broke the dam there, with Woodley in his last few fights, So, yeah, he's an S fighter. And, as I spoke about earlier, the ups and downs, ebbs and flows of a career. but I'm still gonna, like I said, just keep him with the S.
Yeah, and I think that's fair. One of only, I think, 2 guys on this list to become a UFC world champion. So that isn't.
Well, prior to the Usman fight, there was talks of him being the best welterweight ever.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
I don't know if it was, but he was in the conversation.
Yeah, he was indeed. I think that's fair. Okay, let's get back to alphabetical order. Talk about legends. Is there one with a more illustrious sort of MMA career than Demian Maia? It's crazy how long this dude has been around and fighting at a high level. What are we doing with Demian Maia?
Yeah, it's really amazing. What did he fight for? 2 belts? Did he fight for the title twice?
At least.
Yeah, UFC anyway. Damian's kind of hard for me because he is such a specialist. I struggle to put him in that A category.
Okay.
Not being as well rounded. So I think I'm gonna go. He's a high B. Damian Maia is gonna be a high B for me.
Yeah, if there's perhaps a A-B+ category, we put him.
Sure.
In there. Okay, I like that. All right, talking about some of his older opponents, do you remember Kamaru Usman's fight with Mr. Valhalla, the Viking, Emil Mech?
I do. And I think up until maybe RDA, Emil was the hardest fight with Kamaru, if that makes sense. He dominated the fight, but still in a lot of positions that Kamaru excels in, he had to work. He made him work very, very hard. Not a great body of work to be up there in the B category with Demian Maia. So I'm gonna go ahead and put him on a C.
Yeah. I think.
So now we got one everywhere. We kind of got to stay
everywhere. Yeah, you've set a little definition for us. I like it. Okay, we're going way back now. Talking about 2015. This was the Ultimate Fighter American Top Team versus Black Zillion season finale. Kamaru Usman on one side of the bracket, Haider Hassan on the other. What are we doing with this guy?
Haider's going to be a D. I don't think we heard from him again after that fight, did we? Maybe one more fight in the UFC, and he's just kind of been hanging around since then.
Okay. Do we want to, within the categories, rank them as well? Like, do you know if you would put him before or after Yaroslav? Yakovlev?
I'll put Yakovlev first.
Okay,
just a power puncher. Just a power puncher that really didn't do much once he made it to the UFC.
Okay, that's fair enough. Let's move on to, without a doubt, the biggest name, the most popular name on this list. Jorge Masvidal, of course, filled in short notice on that Fight Island card. I think, obviously, a very decisive win for Kamaru, although I think people seem to be impressed with Jorge's ability to hang in there, considering the short notice. What did you make of that fight, and where would you put Jorge after seeing him in there with Kamaru?
It was a good fight, and George did do a very nice job in some spots. I think anytime you're dealing with a level wrestler like that, you can't just do it in spots. You have to do it consistently and repetitively over the course of 25 minutes. In my mind, Kamaru's biggest asset is his willpower. I know he's a very strong-willed fighter. And you see that took hold once he got some momentum going throughout the fight. No one in their right mind is going to say that Jorge Masvidal is not an A fighter. But I struggle to put him in that S category. He has a very impressive body of work. But there's also a lot of losses in there too. So that's going to be my kind of differentiation. Do I want to go with him in front? I got to put him in front of Colby.
Oh, interesting.
Just out of pure respect for his total body of work.
Okay, I think that's fair and interesting to see them there side by side, because there are murmurings that we're going to have that fight soon. I hope it happens. Yeah. Talk about bad blood. I'd love to see it. Okay, this guy. So this is I'm going to remind people here, because we sometimes have people point this out. Are you talking about the fighters in the totality of their work, or at the time they fight Kamaru? I think it's just easier to do totality, because I don't expect you, Greg, to remember where Leon was at when he fought Kamaru, but we know where he is now, and it's pretty damn impressive despite his inability to get a dang fight booked. Where are we putting Leon Edwards?
Kamaru is his last loss, if I'm correct, right?
I'm pretty sure, and that was way back in 2015.
2017?
2015.
15.
Yeah,
Holy
December.
crap. And I think in my mind, Leon Edwards has been his toughest fight yet. And I hear you kind of hitting at him being underrated. So I'm trying. If I'm gonna put Damian Maia at a B plus, then I think Leon Edwards should be a B plus plus.
Okay, so we're gonna put him right ahead of there.
Yeah.
One fight probably away. So let's dissect that a bit. You're saying that Kamaru's toughest fight was against Leon Edwards. We have Jorge and Colby ranked higher based on the body of work, obviously. Yeah. So I think that's totally fair. And
again, not to discredit Leon's body of work either, because it has been impressive. Right.
It's been tough, and now he's got to fight a guy who basically was unranked until they threw one on there for the sake of justifying it. A quick prediction: Leon Edwards, Khamzat Chimaev.
Ooh, you put me on the spot there, brother.
This is the game.
I think Leon Edwards is at that point in his career where he's going to have a breakthrough.
I hope so.
I think the coach in me wants to see the last 4 years of his career finally pay off.
Yeah.
You know, this sport isn't always fair, but if it is, Leon Edwards gets it done.
I love that statement. My heart broke when Santiago Ponzinibbio lost to Li Jingliang recently, because sometimes you just don't know how these long layoffs. Sometimes people don't miss a beat, but sometimes it just seems like they can't make up the ground. So no disrespect to Khamzat, but for everything Leon's been through, I hope he can succeed there. Okay, as we start wrapping this up, 75% of the way through, Rafael dos Anjos, former UFC lightweight champion. What are we doing with that?
Same standard. He's got to be an S.
Okay. Do you have a preference on where we're putting him here?
Ooh.
I gotta keep you on your toes, Greg.
I tell you what, there's not many people out there that RDA has not fought and beat his fair share of them. Let's go ahead and bump him above Tyron. I'll do that.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
All right, tell me a little bit about what sort of went into that pick.
Again, using the same standard I used with Woodley. And really not just the total body of work, but the amount of time and the level of consistency that he's portrayed throughout his career. I mean, it's probably 3 years ago where people were saying he was probably done. You know, that's back when he was going from 155 to 70, trying to figure that whole thing out. And he's see him kind of get rejuvenated over the last, year, maybe 18 months, something like that.
I like it. I think that's good. Okay, let's kind of speed run through these last three, just because we sort of got the meat and potatoes of this out of the way, and these are a little bit earlier in his career. What are we doing with Sean Strickland? I'm going to see what kind of finish this was, but do you remember that fight?
Vaguely. I kind of see glimpses and highlights of it.
It was a unanimous decision win in Buffalo, New York for Kamaru.
It was kind of a boring affair up in Buffalo the same night. I think Michael Johnson fought that same night. And Anthony Rumble Johnson fought Daniel Cormier that same night. Okay. Let's go with I'm gonna put him at C. I really like Sean. Whenever he fought Kamaru, that was probably the best he's looked in his career.
Okay.
Just kind of how careers unfold, you know.
I dropped him here based on the praise you gave Meek. Is that correct?
Yeah, sure.
All right, and then just before the Strickland fight, Kamaru took on Warley Alves, who just had picked up a nice win for himself over at Fight Island. What are we doing with that? That was also a unanimous decision win for Kamaru in Sao Paulo, Brazil.
Yeah, he kind of beat him up that fight. Let's put him in the same category.
Okay, behind Sean? In front of Sean?
He's probably in that C plus. Put him above Sean.
All right, I like that. And then last.
Actually, let's put him above Emil too. I think.
All right, let's do it. And actually, that's not Warley Alves I picked up. That was Sergio Moraes. But on that note, Sergio Moraes. Sorry, it's a small avatar here. This came after the Sean Strickland fight. It was a first-round knockout in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, 2:48 of round 1. What are you doing with him?
Let's go. I think we can lump all those 4 guys all in the same category at C.
Okay. Preference here?
No, I don't see much of distinction there.
I'll put it at the end just since it was the only KO there. And we got the squad in the house. Look at that.
Hey, we're getting ready for wrestling practice, man.
It looks like you guys are playing some soccer.
6 o'clock. 6 o'clock Friday. Come on,
okay. Last thing here before we let you go. I do want to know, because we've run long. I don't want to take up any more of your time. Obviously, you're here supporting Gilbert Burns in this camp. What's it been like having to prepare for Kamaru Usman, considering how long you've worked with him?
From a personal standpoint, I'm not going to say it's hard, but it's uncomfortable, right? Mm-hmm. From a professional standpoint, it's not even something that I do or think about, right? I was supposed to, whenever this fight was originally booked, we got negative COVID test the day before we left for Fight Island. And that was kind of like my deciding factor is like, really personally, I don't want to do this, but really, if we want to do this right and run this gym and run this business like we need to, then professionally I have no choice, right? So it's kind of the balance that, we're all kind of dealing with, to be honest, not just the coaches, but the fighters too. And, the sport's not that big, and
it's a
maybe
tight
not
community.
Right.
A lot of cross-training. Okay. Final thing, I see the Sanford MMA wall behind you. Can you tell people a little bit about where they can find you, and if they want to hook up with Sanford MMA, what that process is like?
Yeah, no, you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Coach G Jones. Me and Henry Hoof, we're, like I said, we've been together 5 or 6 years. We're just almost just over a full year into a relationship with Sanford Health. Sanford Health is the top 10 largest hospital healthcare systems in the country. It's like a $7 or $8 billion company. So very fortunate enough we're able to build this relationship. They built us a beautiful gym, allow us to do some really cool things and support of our fighters. So we try to take a very holistic approach here, that these guys are going to come through our program, better fighters, and most importantly, better men. And that's what we build towards every day. Boom.
Love it. Follow Greg on Instagram, on Twitter. Please, guys, hit subscribe, like, notification bell. Can't tell you how much that does for us. You can hit me up on Twitter at ShaqFu. Greg, I'd ask you who you think's going to win, but I don't think there's a point. Best of luck to you. Best of luck to you.
Thank you. You let me off the hook with that one.
Yes,
Appreciate
sir.
it.
All right, we'll talk soon.
Cheers, brother. Thank you.